one of my favorite parts about teaching is like the photo walks at WPPI, because I literally just show up. I have no plan at all. And it's just like take a group of 12, 20, 30 people and just go walk around and be like, this is what I'm seeing. This is why I'm here. And just walking through my process and have no plan, because that's how I show up to a shoot. Also, like I'm very big on not having a plan as I show up to a shoot in general.
That's so interesting. Now, tell me, I want to hear more about that in general, because that wouldn't necessarily be the advice that I would give. So I want to hear, like, from your perspective, what does that mean?
And I
Like
don't like, yeah, go ahead.
no. I'm just curious. When you show up to a wedding, how much of a plan is a plan, and how much do you let, free flow?
99% is just free flow. Like I have the
Explain more.
timeline. I have that.
Okay, you have the
so on a
timeline.
wedding. So on the wedding day, I have a timeline. So I know when certain things are happening, and outside of that, I have no plan. Like I don't walk around and be like, okay, come portrait time, I'm going to do a shoot. I'm going to shoot this, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do this. Like I have no plan. Like when portrait time starts, I know where I'm going to start, and then it's just I see what I see, and I do what I'm going to do.
So do you don't scout like a location just to know what it has or anything like that?
In general, no. Like I might like drive around and just kind of see where some opportunities are. And so I have a general idea of like, as if we leave a venue and we're going to walk a little bit, I know which direction to walk, but I don't leave, like, I don't say, oh, I want to shoot against that wall. Sometimes I'll see something as I'm scouting, be like, oh, I could definitely make that work, and we're going to walk that way. But I try and have the hardest part for me is having an idea and it not being able to work. So that's the reason why I went down this road of like not scouting, is because I would show up to a shoot and we'd show up early and walk around, be like, oh, I want to shoot right there. And then by the time it came to shooting portraits, the light was different, something was in the way, but I would still try and make it work. So I have a hard time letting an idea go. And so it's much easier for me to get an idea in the moment when I know I can make it work. And if I can't make it work, then it's not even an option. That's also the same reason why I shoot with such a minimal gear kit. I shot 5 years, and literally the only two lenses I owned was 35 and 85.
Interesting.
Because I don't have to decide what lens I'm going to use. I don't have to be like, oh, 24, 16, 35, 85, 135, 70 to 200. It's just like, if I need to be wide, it's 35. I need to be close, 85. No mental capacity needs to be thinking about what lens I'm going to use.
It almost sounds like you're trying to find ways to kind of mitigate, decision paralysis kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. When I approach any shoot, I like to scout with Sunseeker. So I'll just have a little app where I can basically just see where the sun's going to move throughout the day. So I have an idea of like, where the sun's going to be in relation to each spot, but I like to know each spot. And then when it comes time to shoot, I don't have no problem like not using any of the things that I scouted, but usually I'll know, okay, at this time of day, this is probably the best spot. So we're going to walk towards that direction, or, things like that. And if I don't do that, I find myself getting incredibly stressed. So like I'll feel like a real sense of anxiety, because I don't know if, a certain spot, maybe that spot is shut down, maybe that there's not available, maybe it's this. And it's just interesting, the different approaches to it. On your side, It's like, you're preventing that decision paralysis issue. On my side, it's like, I need to have all the options available. Otherwise I feel like that same side of paralysis.
Yeah. Well, do you shoot with two photographers all the time?
Not all the time. So, well, for our clients, generally, yes. But like I've done quite a few destination shoots alone. And most of my portrait sessions that I do for education, for, content, those things are just by myself with, our behind the scenes crew. Like Anthony will come along or Mike will come along and film behind the scenes. But the majority of time that I spend shooting, I'm shooting alone.
Gotcha. So the reason why I think it works out is because we always have a second photographer. Like all of our packages come with two photographers. It's not something that we feel a client should have to add on.
Yeah.
And so whenever it comes to portrait time, we take turns. So I'll have an idea and I'll shoot that idea, and my wife Chasney, or if I have another second photographer, is more than welcome to shoot while I shoot my idea. But then next is going to be their turn, and then when it's their turn, now I have 5, 10 minutes that I can kind of look around and get my bearings and figure out what I want to do next.
Gotcha.
Um, and then when it comes to shooting by myself, I just have come to the conclusion that, most of the time I'm shooting couples. And so they're fine with hanging out with each other. And so I have no problem being like, just hang out with each other for 5 minutes while I look around and see what I want to do next.
Mm. Yeah. If
And so I don't, and so that relieves that anxiety of like you don't have to be shooting 100% of the time. Like it's okay to take a break for 5 minutes and look around. Like they don't mind hanging out with each other.
For sure. No, on portrait sessions, I generally am going quite a bit slower. Sometimes on weddings, though, you barely have 5 minutes to get like, some of our timelines are pretty crazy, man. I mean, I feel like the higher in general, the higher a client's contract becomes, the less time and freedom I feel like is allowed in that
Hmm.
space. There was kind of like this sweet spot of, and I feel like there's the same thing in probably any type of creative endeavor, but there is this sweet spot between like the $4,000 and $6,000 range where like you'd get clients that are paying a good amount of money. They they very much have a respect of the craft and the artwork, and they want to give you a lot of time. They enjoy it. They want to give you the time. And then I noticed once we started getting beyond that and the packages were 10, 20 plus, they're almost hiring the brand. Like it's like they want the brand recognition component of like having us there, and the rest is it's just a party and you capture what you can capture. Like we're not going to give you that much time. If you want
Hmm.
10 minutes after the ceremony, we'll get you 10. Like despite how much education goes into it, there
Hmm.
are the one-offs, but this is in general like the more that's being spent. There's so many moving pieces on these $1 million weddings that I don't have the luxury to be like, I need 30 minutes, for something. Like I'll say it, but it doesn't matter,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's generally how our weddings are too. So we don't generally have a lot of time for portraits, and the majority of the work we do is strictly documentary.
Yeah,
And so that helps too. Like I don't do a lot of scouting because we do portraits, but we don't spend a ton of time on portraits.
I see. So your clients are coming specifically because that documentary aspect, and you're there with them capturing whatever it is that they're doing. So the need to necessarily like go off and go do something else isn't there.
Yeah, and then other than that, like I call it portrait breakout sessions, just for lack of a better term, just so clients are aware. Like if I see and I'm inspired by something, I'll just pull them to the side and take a quick portrait, and then let them get back to what they're doing. So we don't necessarily need portrait time, and then that gives me the ability to be inspired on the spot, and then just grab them real quick, take a portrait for 5 minutes, let them get back to what they're doing, and that's how I get the majority of like these creative images because I'm inspired on the spot by something.